I found out my wife was cheating on me because of a Ring doorbell notification at 2:37 p.m. on a Tuesday. Not our Ring doorbell, her brother's. Tyler had added me to his home security app 6 months ago when I helped him install the system at his place in Scottsdale. He'd been having package theft issues, and I'd spent a weekend wiring up cameras around his property. He never bothered removing my access, and I'd honestly forgotten I even had the app on my phone. Until it buzzed during my lunch break at the construction site. I was eating a sandwich in my truck, covered in drywall dust, when the notification popped up. Motion detected at front door. I almost swiped it away. Tyler lived 40 minutes across town, and I had zero reason to care about whoever was dropping off his Amazon packages. But my thumb hovered over the screen for just a second too long, and muscle memory took over. I tapped it. The live feed loaded. My wife Jenna was standing on Tyler's front porch in the middle of a workday, wearing the black dress I'd complimented that morning when she'd told me she had a doctor's appointment. She was checking her phone, glancing around like she was making sure nobody saw her. Then the door opened. A man I'd never seen before stood in the doorway. Tall, maybe early 40s, wearing gym shorts and nothing else. He had the kind of body that screamed personal trainer or fitness influencer. The type of guy who probably posted shirtless mirror selfies with motivational quotes about grinding and hustling. Jenna stepped inside without hesitation. The door closed behind her. I sat there in my truck, sandwich forgotten in my lap, staring at my phone screen as it switched back to the recorded clip. I watched it again. And again. Each time I noticed new details that made my stomach turn. The familiarity in how she moved toward the door. The smile on her face, not nervous or uncertain, but comfortable, expected. The way the guy's hand briefly touched the small of her back as she passed him. This wasn't a first-time thing. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. I checked the timestamp again. 2:47 p.m. Jenna had left our house around 2 o'clock, kissing me goodbye and reminding me she'd probably stop at the grocery store after her appointment. We'd been married for 8 years, together for 11. We had 2 kids, Emma, who was 7, and Jack, who was 5. I pulled up the Ring app's history and started scrolling backward. There. Last Tuesday, same time. 2:52 p.m., Jenna at Tyler's door. Same guy answering. The Tuesday before that. 2:49 p.m. I went back further. The pattern emerged like a punch to the gut. Every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon for the past month, as far back as the app's free storage would show me. Always between 2:45 and 3 p.m., always the same routine. My phone rang and I nearly dropped it. Jenna's name flashed across the screen with the photo I'd taken of her last summer at the lake, laughing with the kids building sandcastles. I stared at it until it went to voicemail. 30 seconds later, a text arrived. Hey babe, running late at the doctor. Might grab dinner stuff on the way home. Love you. I looked at the Ring app again, still open to the live camera feed. Tyler's front door remained closed. Jenna's car, our silver Honda Pilot that we'd bought together 3 years ago, the one with Emma's soccer stickers on the back window, was parked in his driveway, visible in the corner of the camera's view. The rational part of my brain tried to manufacture innocent explanations. Maybe Tyler was having an affair, and Jenna had discovered it and was confronting the woman. Maybe this guy was a contractor working on Tyler's house, and Jenna was checking on the progress as a favor to her brother. Maybe there was some perfectly reasonable explanation for why my wife was lying about her whereabouts and entering a stranger's home in the middle of the afternoon wearing her best dress. But I'd been in construction for 15 years. I knew the difference between a solid foundation and one built on wishful thinking. I opened my text messages with Tyler. Our last conversation had been 2 weeks ago. Just typical brother-in-law stuff about getting together to watch the Cardinals game. I typed out a message. Hey man, quick question. You renting out your place or something? His response came back within a minute. No, why? Everything okay with the cameras? I deleted 3 different responses before settling on, Yeah, all good. Thought I saw something weird on the feed. Must have been a glitch. Cool. Let me know if you need me to check anything. So Tyler didn't know, which meant either this guy had somehow gotten access to his house without permission, or, more likely, Tyler was out of town and had given someone permission to stay there. I checked Facebook, something I rarely did, and found Tyler's page. His most recent post was from yesterday, a photo of him and his girlfriend at the Phoenix airport with the caption, "Hawaii, here we come, 2 weeks of paradise." 2 weeks. I looked at the calendar on my phone. Tyler had left yesterday, Monday. Jenna had gone to the doctor this afternoon, Tuesday. I pulled up our shared family calendar, the one Jenna meticulously maintained with everyone's schedules color-coded. Her appointments for the next 2 weeks suddenly looked different. Doctor, 2:30 p.m. on Thursday. Dentist, 3 p.m. next Tuesday. Hair appointment, 2 p.m. next Thursday, a perfect pattern. Every Tuesday and Thursday. Right when the kids would be in school and I'd be at whatever job site I was working. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Jenna. Actually, might be another hour. They're running really behind. So annoying. I switched back to the Ring app and saved every video clip I could access. I sat in the truck until my foreman texted, asking where the hell I was. The half-eaten sandwich had gone stale in my lap. My phone showed 4:17 p.m. I'd been watching that driveway for over an hour and a half. Jenna's Honda was still there. I started the engine, drove back to the site. Spent the rest of the afternoon mudding drywall seams with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. Nobody asked if I was okay. Construction guys don't ask those questions. At 5:43 p.m., another notification. I was in the porta potty when my phone buzzed. The live feed showed Jenna leaving Tyler's house. Same black dress, but her hair looked different. Messier. She paused on the porch, turned back. The man appeared in the doorway, still shirtless, gym shorts riding low on his hips. He pulled her close, kissed her. Not a peck. A real kiss. The kind that said, "See you next time." She walked to her car smiling. My phone buzzed again. A text from Jenna. "Finally done. Picking up kids now. Want me to grab dinner?" I typed back, "Sure." That night she made spaghetti. Emma talked about her art project. Jack spilled juice on his shirt. Jenna laughed, wiped it up, asked about my day. I said it was fine. She said her appointment had run long, some insurance mix-up. You know how doctors' offices are. I nodded. Ate my spaghetti. Watched her lie to our children's faces. After the kids went to bed, she curled up next to me on the couch. Put her head on my shoulder. We watched some cooking show neither of us cared about. Her hair smelled like unfamiliar shampoo. I didn't say anything. Wednesday, I worked a double shift. Kept my phone on the whole time, volume up. No notifications from Tyler's house. Thursday morning, Jenna had errands on the calendar. Color-coded yellow. Personal time. At 2:51 p.m., the notification came. Same pattern. Black dress, different shoes this time, heels instead of flats. She knocked. He answered. This time he was wearing a tank top at least. She went inside. I saved the video. Downloaded it to my phone, uploaded it to a cloud account she didn't know about. Then I started going back through the history systematically. Tyler had cameras on the front door, the driveway, and the back patio. I checked them all. The pattern went back further than a month. 6 weeks. 8 weeks. I found footage from early April, nearly 3 months ago. Always the same schedule. Always when Tyler wasn't home. I checked his Facebook. Tyler traveled for work, sales manager for some medical supply company. He was gone 2-3 times a month. And every time he left town, Jenna's calendar filled up with appointments and errands. I made a spreadsheet. Dates, times, duration of visits. cross-referenced with our family calendar, with Tyler's Facebook check-ins and travel posts. The pattern was perfect. Mechanical. She'd been planning this around Tyler's schedule for months. My hands weren't shaking anymore. Friday night, we had dinner at her parents' house. Her mom asked how we were doing. "Great," Jenna said. "Really great." She squeezed my hand across the table. I squeezed back. Tyler called during dessert. Jenna put him on speaker. He was having an amazing time in Hawaii. The weather was incredible. He'd gone snorkeling that morning. Jenna asked if he was staying hydrated. Told him to send pictures. Her voice was warm, sisterly, concerned. After we hung up, her dad asked if Tyler was still seeing that woman from Phoenix. Jenna said she didn't think so. Tyler hadn't mentioned anyone in months. He was probably just focusing on work. Her mom said that was too bad. Tyler needed to settle down. I excused myself, went to the bathroom, pulled up Tyler's camera feed. The man's car was in the driveway. A black BMW, newer model. I zoomed in on the license plate, took a screenshot. When I came back, Jenna was helping her mom with dishes. Emma and Jack were playing in the backyard. Her dad asked if I wanted to watch the game. I said sure. Saturday. I told Jenna I had to check on a job site. She said she might take the kids to the park. I drove to Tyler's neighborhood instead. Parked 3 houses down. The BMW was still there. I waited. At 11:23 a.m., the man came out. Broad daylight, no shirt, coffee mug in hand. He walked to the mailbox, checked it, walked back inside. Comfortable. Like he lived there. I took photos. Ran the license plate through a database one of my buddies used for insurance work. The BMW was registered to a Derek Paulson, age 42, address in Tempe. I Googled the name. Personal trainer. Owned a gym called Apex Fitness. His Instagram had 47,000 followers. Shirtless photos, motivational quotes, transformation testimonials. His bio said, "Changing lives one rep at a time." His most recent post was from Tyler's backyard pool. Caption, "Paradise found." Sometimes you need to unplug and reset. 83 comments. Lots of fire emojis. I scrolled back through his feed. Found a photo from 6 months ago. A group shot at some fitness expo. Derek had his arm around a blonde woman in athletic wear. The caption tagged her. "A Jenna Fit, Dacha PDX." I clicked the tag. Private account. Profile picture showed Jenna in running gear, ponytail, big smile. Bio. Runner. Mom. Always chasing the next PR. 1,400 followers. I didn't know she had an Instagram. I sat in my truck outside Tyler's house and scrolled through Derek's photos. Found 3 more with Jenna tagged. A 5K charity run in February. A gym event in March. A nutrition seminar in April. All group shots, nothing obviously intimate. But they knew each other. Had known each other for months. My phone rang. Jenna. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. I answered. "Hey, where are you? I thought you'd be home by now." Job site's taking longer than I thought. "Oh, well, the kids want to go to that new pizza place for lunch. Should we wait for you?" I looked at Tyler's house, Derek's BMW in the driveway. The Ring camera above the door that had recorded everything. "No, go ahead. I'll grab something here." "Okay, love you." "Yeah." I hung up. Sunday was Mother's Day. I'd forgotten. Jenna hadn't. She woke up to flowers I didn't buy. She must have ordered them herself, signed my name to the card. The kids gave her drawings and a ceramic handprint thing Jack made at school. She cried. Happy tears, she said. She was so lucky to have this family. We went to brunch, took photos, posted them to Facebook. Jenna looked beautiful in the pictures, glowing. She tagged me with a heart emoji. Best husband and dad. So grateful for this man. 43 likes in the first hour. That night, after the kids were asleep, she initiated sex. I went through the motions. She seemed satisfied. Afterward, she fell asleep with her head on my chest. I stared at the ceiling and thought about Derek Paulson's hand on her waist in that photo from the 5K. The way she'd been smiling. My phone was on the nightstand. Tyler's Ring app was still open. I could see the live feed from here. Derek's BMW was gone. He must have left while we were at brunch. I wondered if Jenna had texted him today, wished him Happy Mother's Day, told him she missed him. I wondered how long she'd been planning to keep this going. I wondered if she'd ever planned to stop. Monday morning, I called in sick. Jenna had already left for her morning run. An actual run this time, I assumed. The kids were at school. I had the house to myself. I went to our home office. The printer sat on the desk by the window, an all-in-one wireless model we'd bought 2 years ago. Jenna used it constantly. School forms, recipes, coupons, her running club newsletters. I barely touched it. I opened my laptop, logged into the printer's web interface. Every wireless printer keeps a job history. Most people don't know that. I pulled up the Q log. The most recent jobs were from last week. Permission slips for Emma's field trip, a grocery list, a recipe for lemon bars. Normal stuff. I scrolled back further. May 3rd. A document called Cabin Directions Final PDF, printed at 9:47 p.m. I clicked the details. The notes field showed our getaway. The printer queue history sat on my screen like evidence at a crime scene. I'd come into the home office to grab some old invoices for a warranty claim. Hadn't even thought about the printer until I noticed the error light blinking. Paper jam. Third one this week. I pulled open the drawer, cleared the crumpled sheet, and that's when I saw the network activity log still displayed on the monitor. Jenna must have left it open after troubleshooting yesterday. The queue history showed every document sent to our shared HP LaserJet for the past 90 days. Most of it was normal. School permission slips. My work estimates. Emma's book reports. Then I saw the maps. Cabin directions, aux final by PDF, 3 pages, printed 2:14 at 11:47 a.m. Cabin directions, final by PDF, 3 pages, printed 2:14 at 2:33 p.m. Grocery, art list, cabin docs. 1 page, printed 2:15 at 9:12 a.m. Weekend, packing.docs, 2 pages, printed 2:15 at 9:14 a.m. I clicked on the details for the first one. The job properties window opened, showing metadata I'd never paid attention to before. Document name, page count, timestamp. And there, in the notes field that Jenna used to label important prints, our getaway, final route. My hands went cold. I clicked through the others. Each one had annotations in that same field. Our getaway, backup directions. Our getaway, supplies. Our getaway, what to bring. Our getaway, not family cabin trip, not hiking supplies, not even her usual meticulous labels like Emma school field trip or Jack soccer schedule. Our getaway. I pulled up the calendar on my phone. February 14th was last Wednesday, Valentine's Day. I'd worked late finishing a kitchen remodel, came home to find Jenna had already put the kids to bed. She said she was tired, had a headache. We'd agreed to celebrate that weekend instead. Except we hadn't celebrated that weekend. She'd said she was going on her solo hiking trip. 3 days in the Cascades, she needed the space to clear her head, reconnect with nature. I'd watched the kids, ordered pizza, felt like a supportive husband giving his wife the self-care time she needed. I clicked back to the printer queue and scrolled through the job history. More documents appeared. Trail map, section 4 PDF, printed 210 cabin, rental, confirmation, IPDF, printed 28 cabin Wi-Fi, instructions.pdf, printed 213. Every single one had notes. Our trip, for the cabin, our weekend, never my hiking trip, never solo getaway. My finger was shaking on the mouse. I right-clicked on cabin, rental, confirmation, PDF, and selected view cached copy. The printer stored temporary files for reprints. The PDF opened. Mount Hood, cabin rentals. Reservation confirmation, guest name. Derek Paulson. Cabin, Timberline Retreat. Sleeps 4. Check-in. February 16th, 3 p.m. Checkout. February 19th, 11:08 a.m. Total, 847s. February 16th through 19th. Exactly the dates of her solo hiking trip. Derek Paulson. The same Derek Paulson who answered Tyler's door shirtless. The same Derek Paulson whose Instagram she followed on her secret account. The same Derek Paulson she'd been screwing every Tuesday and Thursday for 3 months. I opened the next cached file. Trail Map Section Mach 4 PDF showed a detailed topographic map with a route highlighted in yellow marker. Someone had drawn hearts at 2 viewpoints and written Sunset Spot in handwriting that wasn't Jenna's. His handwriting. They'd planned this together, printed directions together, maybe sat at this very desk, at this very computer, using our printer and our paper and our ink to map out their romantic weekend while I was at work and the kids were at school. I clicked through more files. The grocery list was mundane. Steaks, wine, chocolate, strawberries, but devastating in its domesticity. The packing list included hiking boots and trail snacks, but also nice dress for dinner and massage oil. She'd told me she was going to be completely off-grid. No cell service, total digital detox. That's why she wouldn't be reachable. The Wi-Fi instructions document showed the cabin's network name and password. I sat back in the office chair, staring at the screen. My reflection looked back at me from the darkened monitor edge. A man who'd spent the past 2 weeks thinking his wife had come back from her solo trip, refreshed and reconnected, glowing with that healthy outdoors energy. She had been glowing. Just not from hiking. The office door opened. I didn't turn around. "Hey, did you fix the printer?" Jenna's voice. Casual. Easy. "I need to print Emma's science project rubric before..." She stopped. I could feel her seeing what was on the screen. "What are you doing?" Different voice now. Tighter. I still didn't turn around. Just moved the mouse, clicking through the queue history. Click. 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 Each document a small detonation. "Checking the printer jam," I said. My voice sounded normal, distant, like it was coming from someone else. "Found your travel documents." Silence behind me. I finally turned the chair around. She was standing in the doorway, one hand on the frame. She'd been folding laundry. I could see the basket on the floor behind her in the hallway. Wearing yoga pants and one of my old college t-shirts. Looking exactly like a wife doing Saturday chores. "I can explain," she said. I laughed. Actually laughed. "You printed directions to a cabin you rented with Derek. Printed them on our printer. Made grocery lists for your romantic getaway. Used the notes field to label everything our trip. What exactly needs explaining?" Her face went white, then red. "You went through my print history?" "It was open on the screen. You left it up." "That's private." "Private." I stood up. "You printed 17 documents for a 3-day trip to screw your personal trainer in a cabin. You used our shared printer, our shared computer, our shared paper and ink. Nothing about that is private." She stepped into the room. "You're twisting this." February 16th through 19th. I was reading from the screen now, my voice getting louder. "The exact dates you told me you were hiking solo. Completely off-grid. Unreachable, remember? You said you needed space. You said you needed to find yourself." I did need space. "You needed space to screw Derek in a cabin that he paid $847 to rent." Don't what? Don't look at the printer queue? Don't notice that my wife printed packing lists that included massage oil for her solo hiking trip? Her jaw clenched. "You had no right to go through my documents. They're on our shared printer, Jenna. Our shared network. You want privacy? Maybe don't use the family computer to plan your affairs." She moved toward the desk. I need to print Emma's. I stepped in front of the computer. No. Excuse me? You're not printing anything else on this printer. Her eyes narrowed. It's my printer too. Was, past tense. I reached down and unplugged the USB cable from the computer tower. The printer's display went dark. What are you doing? Revoking your access. I grabbed the power cord next, yanked it from the wall. You want to print directions to your next cabin getaway? Use Derek's printer. You can't just... I can. It's my printer. I bought it. Check the Amazon order history if you want. July 2021. My credit card. She reached for the mouse. I need to... I grabbed it first. The cord yanked free from the computer, the USB connector clattering across the desk. We both stared at it. Mature, she said. Says the woman who printed 17 documents for an affair. I sat back down, plugged the mouse back in, started clicking through menus. You know what else is interesting? The printer tracks ink usage. Every page, every document, calculated cost per print. So what? So you've printed 463 pages in the last 90 days. Want to guess how many were for your hiking club activities? Her face changed. What? I pulled up a spreadsheet I'd already started building. Trail maps, event flyers, membership rosters. You're the volunteer communications coordinator, right? All those official club documents you're supposed to print at home and bring to meetings? She didn't answer. 197 pages, club documents, printed on our printer, using our ink, our paper, I scrolled down. Except the club is supposed to reimburse members for printing costs. Says so right in the volunteer handbook. Section 4.2. Did you submit reimbursement requests? That's not because I'm looking at our bank statements. No deposits from Portland Trails Hiking Club. Not one. Which means you've been using our household resources for club business without reimbursement. That's a policy violation. Her mouth opened, closed. And these cabin documents? I clicked back to the queue. Personal use. Printed during work hours when you're supposed to be doing club communications. That's misuse of volunteer position resources. You're insane. I'm thorough. I opened my email, started a new message. I think the club administrator should know about this. Patricia Brennan, right? She seems like someone who takes policy violations seriously. Don't you dare! I attached the printer queue export, the ink usage report, screenshots of the cached documents with their annotations. You're really going to do this? Her voice was shaking now. Over a printer? Over you using our resources to plan your affair. Over you lying about solo hiking trips. Over you printing directions to cabins where you screwed another man. My finger hovered over the send button. Yeah, I'm really going to do this. The club is my life. Should have thought about that before you printed Derek's grocery list. I clicked send. The email to the hiking club administrator sat in my sent folder like a loaded gun. I stared at the confirmation timestamp, 11:47 p.m., and felt nothing. Just the mechanical click of another domino falling. Jenna had locked herself in our bedroom. I could hear her pacing. The floorboards creaked in that familiar pattern she made when she was stressed, back and forth between the window and the closet. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop, the printer still unplugged on the floor where I'd yanked it, and started opening new browser tabs. First, our wireless account. Verizon's family plan dashboard loaded slowly, probably because it was midnight and their servers were garbage. I scrolled through the data usage reports, expanding Jenna's line item by item. There it was. Massive spikes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, always between 2:30 and 5 p.m. Instagram, mostly. That Jenna Fit PDX account she thought I didn't know about. I downloaded 6 months of billing statements. PDFs stacked up in my downloads folder like evidence bags. Second, our shared printer's web interface. Every network printer keeps logs. Most people just don't know where to look. I'd installed this HP OfficeJet Pro myself 3 years ago, set up the wireless config, never bothered telling Jenna about the admin panel. Why would I? The queue history went back 18 months. I filtered by her laptop's device ID and started scrolling. Cabin rental confirmations. Printed February 8th, 11:23 p.m. while I was asleep. Trail maps for the Columbia River Gorge. Printed February 9th, 6:47 a.m. while I was loading tools into my truck. But it was the notes field that made my hands shake. HP's enterprise software lets you add job descriptions, helpful for office environments, supposedly. Jenna had been meticulous. Our getaway, final confirmation. Hiking route for V-Day weekend. Directions to cabin, Derek's truck. She'd documented her own affair in printer metadata. I exported everything to CSV, opened Excel, started building a timeline. The bedroom door opened upstairs. Footsteps on the landing. I didn't look up. "What are you doing?" Jenna's voice was raw. She'd been crying. "Inventory," I kept typing. Date, time, document type, file size, notes. The spreadsheet grew. "It's midnight. Come to bed. We need to talk about this." "We're talking right now." She came down the stairs slowly, like she was approaching something dangerous. Smart. I felt dangerous. Not violent. I'd never touched her in anger, never would. But dangerous in the way a collapsing building is dangerous. Structural integrity compromised. Foundation giving way. "You can't send that email to Carol," she said. Carol Winters, the hiking club administrator. Retired forest ranger, ran the volunteer program like a military operation. I've been with that club for 4 years. You've been using club resources for personal business. I pulled up another browser tab. The Pacific Crest Hiking Club's Volunteer Guidelines, Section 4.2. Misuse of organizational equipment, including printers, copiers, and communication tools, may result in immediate termination of volunteer privileges. I turned the laptop so she could see it. That's insane. Everyone prints personal stuff sometimes. Not everyone prints directions to cabins where they're screwing their personal trainer. I said it flatly. Watched her flinch. Not everyone uses the club's color printer to make maps for their affair. That's not personal stuff, Jenna. That's fraud. It's not fraud, it's misappropriation of resources. Carol's exact words when she kicked out that guy last year for using the club's bulk mailing permit for his Etsy shop. Remember? You told me about it. Said Carol didn't mess around with policy violations. Jenna's face went pale. She sat down across from me, careful not to get too close. "You're trying to destroy my life." "I'm documenting what you already did." "The club is it's the only thing that's mine. My friends are there. The trail maintenance crew, the monthly hikes, that's Derek Paulson." I pulled up his Instagram on another tab. His latest post, shirtless gym selfie, 847 likes. Personal trainer. Owns Apex Fitness on Burnside. Divorced, no kids, 42 years old. You met him at the club's fitness workshop last June, right? The one about conditioning for elevation gain? She stared at the screen. Didn't answer. I had the workshop flyer saved, pulled it up. Apex Fitness sponsored it. Free guest passes for all attendees. You came home with a pass. Said you might try a class. How long have you been? Since Tuesday, 2:47 p.m. I checked my watch. 73 hours. The printer queue export was still open. I scrolled to the earliest entry I could find with suspicious notes. August 14th, 7 months ago. A Google Maps printout with "Meet at Trailhead D" in the notes field. 7 months, I said. At least, probably longer. Jenna put her head in her hands. I can explain. Don't. You're not even going to let me? No. I closed the laptop, looked at her directly for the first time since she'd come downstairs. Her eyes were red, mascara smudged. She was wearing the same clothes from earlier, the yoga pants and fleece pullover she'd put on after I dumped the printer queue on the desk. You know what I did this afternoon? After you locked yourself upstairs? She shook her head. I called Verizon, had them disable your device's access to our shared network printer. It's off your approved list now. You want to print something, you can use the library. That's childish. That's practical. I'm not subsidizing your affair anymore. Ink cartridges cost $60. I checked the usage logs. You've printed 847 pages in the last 6 months. Home printer, not the clubs. Guess what most of them were? She didn't answer. Trail maps, cabin confirmations, directions, fitness class schedules. I pulled up the spreadsheet again. I categorized everything. Made a nice pie chart. Want to see? Stop. 17% work documents, 8% kids' school stuff, 75% Derek. I rotated the laptop. The pie chart was color-coded. That's $45 in ink costs just for your affair, plus paper, plus wear and tear on the equipment. You're insane. I'm thorough. I opened another tab. I also forwarded the complete printer queue export to my email, and to my Google Drive, and to a USB stick that's currently in my truck's glove box. And I sent a copy to Carol with a formal complaint about misuse of club equipment. Jenna stood up fast enough that her chair scraped. You can't. That's private. It's from our shared printer, on our shared network, in our shared home office. Nothing private about it. She'll kick me out. Probably. The trails are her voice cracked. I lead hikes. I maintain the Wildwood Trail section. I've put in hundreds of hours. With Derek? She didn't answer. Didn't need to. I pulled up another document. I also called Gary Hoffman this afternoon. Gary, my divorce attorney. I'd done the paperwork when his brother sold his house 2 years ago, stayed in touch. He said printer records count as documentary evidence, especially with the notes fields, especially when they show a pattern of deception and misuse of marital assets. Marital assets? It's a printer. It's a $400 printer that I bought with my income from the Sanders job. I caught myself. Not Sanders. The Belmont Street renovation. October 2022. I have the receipt. And the ink subscription is $12.99 a month. Comes out of our joint checking. So yeah, marital asset. And you used it to facilitate an extramarital affair. Jenna's hands were shaking. You're going to use printer ink in a divorce? I'm going to use everything. I opened the folder where I'd been saving Ring doorbell videos. 47 files, each one labeled with date and timestamp. Gary said Oregon's a no-fault state, but Asset Division considers economic waste. Misuse of marital resources. That cabin weekend cost $847, printed on our printer, paid with money that should have gone to our family. I used my own credit card, your card that I pay off every month from our joint account. I had the bank statements ready, pulled them up. Capital One, account ending in 4782. $847 charge on February 14th to Mountain View Cabin Rentals. Paid in full on February 28th from our checking account. Our money, Jenna. Not yours. She was crying again. I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe you printed directions to your affair and labeled them our getaway. The silence stretched. Upstairs, the house settled. That creak in the hallway that always sounded like footsteps. I thought about Emma and Jack, asleep in their rooms, completely unaware that their parents' marriage was decomposing in real time in the kitchen. Jenna wiped her eyes. What do you want? I want you to understand what you did. I understand. No, you don't. I stood up. You used our printer to plan your affair, our ink to print your maps, our paper to document your lies, And you were so comfortable with it, so confident I'd never noticed that you put notes in the queue. Our getaway, like it was a real relationship. It is. It's not. I picked up the unplugged printer from the floor, set it on the table between us. This is real. This printer, this house, those kids upstairs. That's real. Derek Paulson and his cabin and his shirtless Instagram. That's fantasy. And now the fantasy's over. I grabbed my laptop, started toward the stairs. Where are you going? To bed, guest room. I stopped at the landing. Carol will probably email you tomorrow, Monday at the latest. Gary said to expect her response within 48 hours of a formal complaint. You should prepare what you're going to say. What are you going to do? I looked back at her. Standing in the kitchen in her yoga pants, mascara running, the printer sitting on the table like evidence at a crime scene. I'm going to keep documenting, I said. And then I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what you wasted. The email from Carol arrived at 6:47 a.m. on Thursday morning. I was already awake, sitting at the kitchen table with my second cup of coffee, watching Emma and Jack eat their cereal. Jenna was upstairs. We hadn't spoken since the confrontation 2 nights ago, except for the bare minimum in front of the kids. Good morning. Pass the milk? I'll pick them up today. My phone buzzed. I almost ignored it, probably another work email, but the preview showed Carol's name. Resource Misuse Report, Pacific Trails. Hiking Club. I opened it. Dear Mr. Patterson, thank you for bringing this matter to our attention. After reviewing the documentation you provided, including printer logs, calendar entries, and photographic evidence, the Pacific Trails Hiking Club Board has voted unanimously to terminate Jenna Patterson's membership effective immediately. Our club policies explicitly prohibit the use of PTHC resources, communications, or events as cover for personal activities unrelated to hiking and outdoor recreation. Members who misrepresent their participation in club activities undermine the trust and integrity essential to our organization. Additionally, we take seriously any abuse of our shared equipment and supplies. The printer logs you forwarded show 47 pages of personal travel documents printed on club paper and ink during the period of February 10, 15, when Ms. Patterson was supposedly preparing materials for our winter safety workshop. Ms. Patterson's membership has been revoked. Her access to the clubhouse, equipment library, and member directory has been disabled. She is no longer eligible to participate in any PTHC events or communications. We appreciate your discretion in this matter and apologize that club resources were misused in this way. Sincerely, Carol Brennan, Administrator, Pacific Trails, Hiking Club. I read it twice. Then I forwarded it to Gary, my attorney, with a single line. Hiking Club expelled her. Add this to the file. His response came back in under a minute. Good. Shows pattern of deception across multiple areas of life. Judge will notice. Upstairs, I heard the shower turn on. Jenna getting ready for work. Or maybe another lie. At this point, who knew? Emma looked up from her cereal. Daddy, why are you sleeping in the other room? My chest tightened. Just giving mommy some space, sweetie. Sometimes grown-ups need that. Is it like when me and Jack fight and you make us go to separate rooms? Out of the mouths of children. Something like that. Jack, oblivious, was making his Cheerios into a smiley face. Emma studied me with those 2 knowing eyes. 7 going on 17. Are you and mommy fighting? We're working through some stuff. That's what Auntie Beth said before Uncle Ryan moved out. Christ, I took a breath. Finish your breakfast. We need to leave in 10 minutes. I dropped the kids at school and headed to the job site, but my phone rang before I even got out of the parking lot. Unknown number. I answered. Hello? Is this Nathan Patterson? Woman's voice. Professional. Unfamiliar. Yeah, who's this? My name is Angela Reeves. I'm an attorney representing Derek Paulson. I nearly drove off the road. Pulled into a parking spot instead. Engine still running. Excuse me? Mr. Paulson has asked me to contact you regarding the harassment campaign you've been conducting against him over the past several days. Harassment campaign. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Your client is sleeping with my wife. Mr. Paulson is a single adult who is entitled to his private life. What he is not entitled to is having his business reputation damaged by threatening communications. I haven't sent him anything. On Tuesday evening at 9:47 p.m., you sent an email to the general contact address at Apex Fitness, threatening to expose Mr. Paulson's home wrecking to his clients and business partners. You stated you would make sure everyone knows what kind of man he really is. I had sent that. Tuesday night, after the confrontation with Jenna, after 2 whiskeys. Gary had told me not to contact Derek directly, but I'd been so angry I couldn't think straight. That's not harassment. That's a statement of fact. It's defamation and tortious interference with business relationships. Mr. Paulson has built a successful business over 15 years. He has corporate clients, professional athletes, and a reputation in this community. Your threats constitute intentional infliction of emotional distress and could expose you to significant civil liability. He's been sleeping with a married woman in her brother's house, using my brother-in-law's home like a cheap motel. That's the kind of man he is. Mr. Paulson was under the impression that Ms. Patterson was separated from her husband. She told him the marriage was over and that divorce proceedings were underway. He had no knowledge of any children. I actually laughed. Bitter, sharp. She lied to him too. How about that? Regardless, Mr. Paulson is prepared to file a restraining order if you continue to contact him or his business. He's also prepared to pursue civil damages if you follow through on your threats to damage his professional reputation. This call is a courtesy, Mr. Patterson. A cease and desist letter will be arriving via certified mail. I strongly suggest you consult with your own attorney before taking any further action. She hung up. I sat there in the school parking lot, hands shaking on the steering wheel. Derek had lawyered up. Derek, who'd been screwing my wife for months, who'd taken her to a romantic cabin on Valentine's weekend while I was home with our kids, was threatening me with legal action. I called Gary. Derek Paulson just had his attorney call me, threatening a restraining order and civil damages. Gary sighed. What did you do? Sent him an email Tuesday night. Said I'd expose him to his clients. Nathan, I specifically told you not to contact him. I know. Did you threaten physical violence? No. Just said I'd make sure people knew what he did. That's still actionable, especially if he can argue it interferes with his business. Gary paused. Forward me the email you sent and the attorney's name. I'll handle it. He told Jenna he thought we were separated, that she said the marriage was over. Of course he did. Whether that's true or just his lawyer coaching him, we'll probably never know. But it doesn't matter for the divorce. Jenna's the one who made vows to you, not him. So I'm just supposed to let him walk away? No consequences? The consequence is he's been sleeping with a liar who used him too. That's karma, not legal strategy. You want to win the divorce, you stay focused on Jenna. Derek's a distraction. I knew he was right, didn't make it easier. What about the printer stuff? Carol expelled her from the hiking club. Can we use that? Already got your email. It's perfect. Shows she's been lying to multiple people across multiple contexts. Not just you, the whole club. Judge sees that pattern. It helps our credibility argument. What's next? I'm filing the petition tomorrow. She'll be served early next week. Once that happens, everything becomes official. Discovery, asset disclosure, custody evaluation if it comes to that. You need to be ready. I'm ready. Are you? Because this is going to get uglier before it gets better. She's going to lawyer up too. She's going to fight back, and the kids are going to be in the middle of it whether we like it or not. I watched a mom walk her kindergartner into the building, the kid's backpack almost bigger than he was. Normal Thursday morning. Everyone else's life just continuing like nothing was wrong. I'm ready, I said again. When I got home that evening, Jenna's car was already in the driveway. I found her in the home office, sitting at the desk, staring at the printer. She'd been crying. Her eyes were red, mascara smudged. They kicked me out, she said. Carol sent an email. I know. She looked up. You know? She copied me. I'm the one who reported you. Something crumbled in her face. Nathan, you printed 47 pages of your little getaway plans on their equipment. Used their paper and ink to plan your affair. What did you think would happen? It was just a few pages. 47. Gary's adding it to the asset audit. Theft of services, misuse of shared resources. It's all going in the file. She stood up unsteady. You're trying to destroy me. I'm documenting the truth. There's a difference. The hiking club was everything to me. Those people were my friends. Those people trusted you. You lied to them, just like you lied to me. I made a mistake. You made 47 pages of mistakes on their printer, using their supplies, while pretending to prepare for a safety workshop. I kept my voice level, calm. You didn't just betray me, Jenna. You betrayed everyone who trusted you. She sank back into the chair. What else are you going to take from me? I thought about Derek's attorney, the restraining order threat, the civil damages, the whole ugly machinery grinding into motion. I'm filing for divorce next week. You'll be served on Monday or Tuesday. After that, it's up to the lawyers and the judge. The kids deserve a parent who doesn't lie to them, who doesn't use them as cover for an affair, who doesn't teach them that betrayal is acceptable as long as you don't get caught. I never wanted them to know, but they will. Eventually. Because the truth always comes out. You taught me that. I turned to leave, but her voice stopped me. He dumped me. Derek. His lawyer called today. Said I need to stop contacting him. That he wants nothing to do with me. I looked back. She was staring at the printer again, tears running down her face. He said he didn't know I was still married, that I told him we were separated. That's not true. I told him everything. He knew about you, about Emma and Jack. He just didn't care. And now he's pretending he didn't know so he doesn't look like the bad guy. For a second, just a second, I almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered the Ring doorbell footage, the black dress, the cabin reservations labeled Our Getaway. You two deserve each other, I said, and walked out. I sat in my truck outside the house for 20 minutes before I went inside. The printer thing kept circling in my head. 17 documents for a weekend getaway. Maps, directions, rental confirmations, hiking trail guides. All printed on our home office printer while I was at work, using our ink, our paper. The notes field entries. Our getaway, can't wait, just us. Our printer. Our resources. For her affair. The pettiness of it should have been laughable. In the grand scheme of betrayal, the lies, the affair, the months of deception, worrying about printer ink was absurd. But somehow it crystallized everything. She'd used our shared life, our shared resources, our shared home to build her separate world with him. Gary had loved it. Marital waste, he'd called it. Misappropriation of joint assets for extramarital purposes. He'd actually gotten excited, talking about how judges hated that kind of thing. Not just the affair, the calculated use of family resources to facilitate it. I finally went inside. The house was dark, except for the kitchen light. Jenna sat at the table with her laptop open, a glass of wine beside her. She didn't look up when I walked in. Kids asleep? I asked. An hour ago. I set my keys on the counter. The printer sat in the office just off the kitchen, visible through the open door. I disabled her user access that afternoon, changed the admin password, removed her from the network permissions. Petty, childish, satisfying. I got an email from the hiking club, she said. Her voice was flat. They're expelling me, effective immediately. I opened the fridge, grabbed a beer. Okay. You reported me. Not a question. I forwarded them the printer queue exports, your notes about using club equipment for personal trips, the Valentine's weekend cabin, all those maps and confirmations you printed. She finally looked at me. Her eyes were red but dry. That's what you're focused on? Printer paper? I'm focused on documentation. I twisted the cap off the beer. Gary says judges care about patterns of deception, using joint marital assets, our printer, our ink, our paper, to plan your affair trips. That matters in asset division. Asset division. She laughed, sharp and bitter. We have nothing. This house is mortgaged to hell. We have 2 car payments and credit card debt. What exactly are you dividing? The principle of it. The principle. She shook her head. You got me kicked out of my hiking club over the principle of printer paper. You got yourself kicked out. I just provided the evidence. She closed her laptop. The click echoed in the quiet kitchen. The club was the one good thing I had, the one place that was mine. You had Derek, at Tyler's house, every Tuesday and Thursday for months. I don't have Derek, her voice cracked. He won't return my calls. His lawyer sent me a cease and desist letter. Apparently, I misrepresented my marital status, and he's not interested in being involved in domestic disputes. Direct quote. I drank my beer. Said nothing. He blocked me on everything, Jenna continued. Instagram, phone, email, like I never existed, like those 7 months meant nothing. 7 months. She'd confirmed it finally. Not 6. 7. You told him we were separated, I said. I told him we were having problems, that we were basically roommates, that I was planning to leave. Were you? She looked at me. I don't know. Maybe. I hadn't decided. But you let him think you had. Let him think you were available. I was available. I am available. This marriage has been dead for years, Nathan. You know it. I know it. We've just been going through the motions. I set the beer down harder than I meant to. Don't rewrite history to make this okay. We had problems, sure. Every marriage does. But I wasn't screwing someone else in your brother's house while lying about doctor appointments. No, you were just checked out. Working late, job sites on weekends, too tired to talk when you got home. When was the last time we actually had a conversation? When was the last time you looked at me like I was more than just the person who picks up your dry cleaning? When was the last time you didn't lie to me? I shot back. When was the last time running to Target actually meant Target and not Derek's bed? She flinched. Good. The hiking club was my community, she said quietly. Those people were my friends, my support system. And you took that away. You took it away. You violated their equipment use policy, used club resources for personal trips. That's in their bylaws, Jenna. I just pointed it out. You're punishing me. I'm documenting your pattern of deception and resource misuse for the divorce proceedings. Gary's subpoenaing the printer logs, every document you printed, every note you made. The court's going to see exactly how you used our shared resources to facilitate your affair. She stared at me. You're actually doing this. The printer thing. You're making it part of the divorce. Every dollar of ink, every sheet of paper, every minute you spent planning your getaway weekends on our home office equipment while I was working to pay our mortgage. Yeah, I'm making it part of the divorce. It's insane. It's thorough. She stood up, grabbed her wine glass. You know what? Fine. Take the printer. Take the whole office. Take everything. I don't care anymore. The court will determine asset division. The court? She laughed again, That same bitter edge. You sound like a lawyer now. Like Gary. Is this what you've become? Subpoenas and printer logs and cease and desist letters? This is what you made me become. I made you. Her voice rose. I didn't make you do anything. You chose this. You chose to report me to the hiking club. You chose to disable my printer access. Yes, I noticed I can't print anything now. You chose to make this as ugly as possible. You chose to screw Derek for 7 months. And you chose to stay checked out of our marriage for years before that. So it's my fault. I nodded. Of course. I worked too much, didn't pay enough attention, so naturally you had to have an affair. That's logical. That's not what I'm saying. That's exactly what you're saying. You're rewriting our entire marriage to justify what you did, making me the villain so you can be the victim. She set the wine glass down, gripped the counter. I'm not trying to be the victim. I'm trying to explain. I don't want explanations. I want you to stop lying. Stop rewriting history. Stop pretending this was anything other than what it was. Which is what exactly? You wanted something different, something exciting, someone who made you feel special. And instead of talking to me, instead of trying to fix our marriage, you went and found it somewhere else. You lied. You planned. You used our printer to map out your romantic getaways. And now you're mad that there are consequences. She was quiet for a long moment. Outside, a car drove past. The kitchen clock ticked. I can't do this anymore, she said finally. This house, this conversation, you. Gary's filing the papers next week. Good. We'll need to tell the kids. I know. Emma's already asking questions. She knows something's wrong. Jenna's face crumpled. For a second I thought she might cry, but she pulled it back, straightened. We'll tell them together, this weekend. Okay. She picked up her laptop, her wine, walked toward the stairs, stopped in the doorway. The hiking club, she said without turning around. That was cruel. Whatever else happens, whatever the court decides, that was just cruel. So was lying to me for 7 months. She went upstairs. I heard the bedroom door close. I finished my beer in the dark kitchen. The printer sat silent in the office, its power light blinking green. 17 documents. Maps to a cabin in the woods where my wife spent Valentine's weekend with another man while I watched our kids and believed she was on a solo hiking trip. Gary was right. Judges hated this stuff, the calculated nature of it, the systematic use of joint resources for extramarital purposes. It wouldn't change the big picture. Oregon was a no-fault divorce state. The affair itself didn't matter much legally. But the resource misuse, the pattern of deception, the documented lies, that could impact asset division, spousal support. My phone buzzed. Email from Gary. Got the printer logs. This is solid. Call me tomorrow. I deleted it. Went upstairs to the guest room where I'd been sleeping for the past week. Lay in the dark thinking about printer ink and hiking clubs and 7 months of Tuesdays and Thursdays. Somewhere in the house, Jenna was probably doing the same thing. Both of us alone. Both of us in separate rooms of the house we'd bought together 8 years ago. The marriage was already over. Had been for a while, maybe. But we were still living it. Still sharing the mortgage and the kids and the printer. At least until next week, when Gary filed the papers. Then it would all be official, documented, divided. Even the ink. The divorce took 11 months. Gary had warned me it would be brutal, and he was right. Jenna hired Catherine Walsh, a bulldog attorney from downtown Portland who specialized in protecting women's interests. Their strategy was predictable. Paint me as a controlling, vindictive husband who destroyed Jenna's social life and mental health over minor indiscretions. The printer thing became their rallying cry, evidence of my obsessive, punitive nature. The judge didn't buy it. Oregon might be a no-fault state, But Judge Patricia Kwan had been on the bench for 23 years and had seen every variation of marital dissolution. When Catherine tried to argue that my documentation of the printer logs was invasive surveillance, Judge Kwan cut her off. Counselor, the printer was jointly owned marital property on a shared home network. Mr. Patterson had every right to access those logs. What concerns me is the systematic nature of the deception they reveal. The printer logs, the Ring doorbell footage, the hiking club expulsion, the phone records. Gary laid it all out like a timeline of calculated betrayal. Not to prove fault, but to establish credibility. When Jenna claimed she'd only been seeing Derek for a few weeks, and that it barely meant anything, Gary produced evidence of 7 months of Tuesday and Thursday visits, plus the Valentine's cabin rental, plus 17 other weekend trips cross-referenced with Tyler's travel schedule. The judge noticed. Spousal support went in my favor. Limited duration, minimal amount. Asset division was nearly equal, but I kept the house. Jenna didn't fight it. By month 8, she just wanted it over. Custody was the hardest part. Not because we fought, we didn't. We both wanted what was best for Emma and Jack. But sitting in the mediator's office, drawing up parenting plans and holiday schedules, watching our kids' lives get divided into percentages and alternating weekends, that's when it became real. Emma took it the hardest. She stopped talking for 3 weeks after we told her. Just went silent, retreating into books and art projects. The school counselor said it was normal, that kids process trauma differently. Jack seemed almost relieved. No more tension at the dinner table, no more mom and dad barely speaking. Tyler called me exactly once during the whole process. 3 months in, after Jenna had apparently told him her version of events. You got her kicked out of her hiking club over printer paper? His voice was tight with anger. That's psychotic, man. She used your house to have an affair for 7 months. You want to talk about betrayal? Silence on the line. I didn't know, he said finally. About my house. She had a key for emergencies. I never thought. Neither did I. He hung up. We haven't spoken since. The final hearing was on a Thursday in November, 11 months after that first Ring doorbell notification. We sat on opposite sides of the courtroom, me with Gary, Jenna with Catherine. Judge Kwan reviewed the settlement agreement we'd finally reached after months of negotiation. This dissolution is granted, she said. The court finds that the marriage is irretrievably broken. Assets will be divided as outlined in the agreement. Custody arrangements as stipulated. This court is adjourned. 30 seconds. 8 years of marriage dissolved in 30 seconds. Jenna left through the side door without looking at me. I watched her go. This woman I'd loved, built a life with, had children with. Now just someone I'd see at school, pick up in custody exchanges. Gary packed up his briefcase. You okay? Yeah. It's normal to feel, I'm fine. He nodded. Didn't push it. Paperwork will be finalized in 6 weeks. You'll get copies of everything. I drove back to the house, my house now. Walked through rooms that felt too big, too quiet. The home office still had the printer on the desk, though I'd barely used it in months. Seemed pointless now. The thing that had started everything, just sitting there collecting dust. I unplugged it, carried it to the garage, set it next to the donation pile. Emma and Jack adjusted. Kids are resilient like that. The alternating schedule became routine. 1 week with me, 1 week with Jenna. They stopped asking when mom was coming home or why dad wasn't at breakfast. This was just how things were now. Jenna moved to a condo in Beaverton, got a job at a physical therapy clinic doing admin work, started dating someone new about 6 months after the divorce finalized. Not Derek, someone from her yoga class. I heard about it from Emma, who mentioned it casually like she was talking about the weather. I didn't ask questions, didn't want to know. Tyler and I eventually had coffee. Awkward at first, both of us dancing around the elephant. But he apologized for not knowing what Jenna had been doing, and I apologized for the Ring camera thing feeling like a violation of his privacy. We agreed to disagree on whether I'd been justified in reporting Jenna to the hiking club. "She's still my sister," he said. "I can't just cut her out." "I'm not asking you to." We see each other occasionally now. Birthdays, holidays when the kids are involved. It's cordial, careful. The easy friendship we had before is gone, but we're making something new work for Emma and Jack's sake. Derek Paulson still runs Apex Fitness, still posts shirtless selfies with motivational quotes. I don't follow him, but Portland's a small enough city that I see his ads sometimes. He got married last spring, saw the announcement on Instagram when Emma was showing me something on her phone. Big wedding, beautiful venue, his new wife in a white dress smiling at the camera. I felt nothing looking at it. Not anger, not satisfaction, just nothing. 2 years after the divorce, I'm sitting in my truck at a construction site eating lunch when my phone buzzes. Not the Ring app this time. I deleted that after Tyler changed all his access codes. Just a regular text. From Jenna. "Emma's art show is next Thursday at 6. She really wants both of us there. Can you make it?" I type back, "I'll be there." 3 dots appear. Disappear. Appear again. "Thank you." That's it. That's all we are now. Coordinating schedules, being civil for the kids. 2 people who used to share everything now, sharing custody arrangements and art show attendance. The guy working next to me, new hire, doesn't know my history, asks if I want to grab a beer after work. I almost say no, usually do. But something makes me pause. "Yeah," I say. "That sounds good." The thing nobody tells you about betrayal is that the anger eventually burns out. Not because you forgive. I'm not sure I've forgiven Jenna, not really. But because carrying that rage is exhausting. At some point, you have to set it down just to keep moving forward. The printer logs, the Ring footage, the hiking club expulsion. Gary had been right that judges noticed patterns of deception. But he'd been wrong about one thing. It didn't make me feel better. Winning didn't feel like winning. It just felt like the end of something that had died a long time before I found that first video. Maybe Jenna had been right about one thing. Maybe we had been going through the motions for years. Maybe I had been checked out, buried in work, not paying attention to the distance growing between us. That doesn't excuse what she did. Lying, cheating, using our shared life to build a secret one. But it means I wasn't blameless either. Marriage is complicated, betrayal is simple, but the aftermath is somewhere in between. Emma's art show is in the school cafeteria. Her watercolor of our old house, the one Jenna moved out of, the one I still live in, wins second place in the middle school category. She beams when they announce her name. Jenna and I sit 3 chairs apart, both clapping, both proud. After the ceremony, we stand together while Emma shows us around the exhibition. She points out her friend's work, explains her technique, talks about the art teacher who encouraged her. Normal kid stuff. For 20 minutes, we're just 2 parents supporting their daughter. Then it's over. Emma goes home with Jenna, her week for custody. I drive back to my house alone. But something's different. Lighter, maybe. Like I've been carrying something heavy and finally set it down. The printer is long gone, donated months ago. The Ring app deleted. The spreadsheets and evidence files archived on a hard drive I never open. The anger that consumed me for those first months has faded to something manageable. Regret, maybe. Sadness for what we lost. Acceptance of what we became. I don't check Jenna's social media. Don't wonder where she is or who she's with. Don't calculate the cost of ink and paper and lies. I just live. There's no moral to this story. No clean lesson about trust or marriage or revenge. Life doesn't work that way. Sometimes people betray you. Sometimes you discover it in the most mundane ways. A doorbell notification, a printer log, a pattern of lies hiding in plain sight. Sometimes you burn everything down trying to make them pay for it. And sometimes, years later, you realize that the person you hurt most was yourself. Would I do it differently if I could go back? I don't know. The documentation, the evidence gathering, the systematic dismantling of her credibility, it felt necessary at the time. Like I was taking back control of a situation that had spun out of my grasp. But it also kept me locked in anger, focused on punishment instead of healing. The divorce is over. The settlement is final. The kids are okay. Jenna has her life, I have mine, and we share the parts that matter, Emma and Jack, their school events, their futures. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all it ever needed to be. I finish my sandwich. Check the time. Another 3 hours on the job site, then home to an empty house that doesn't feel quite so empty anymore. Tomorrow, I'm getting drinks with some guys from work. This weekend, I have the kids. Next month, Emma starts high school. Life continues. Not better or worse than before. Just different. And somewhere in all that difference, I'm learning to be okay again. The screenshot that shattered everything is still on my phone, buried deep in archived folders, never deleted, but never looked at. Sometimes I think I should erase it. Remove the last piece of evidence, the final reminder. But I don't. Not because I want to hold on to the anger or the pain, but because it happened. All of it happened. And pretending it didn't won't change anything. You can't unknow what you know. Can't unsee what you've seen. Can't go back to the person you were before the notification buzzed and the world shifted. You can only go forward. So that's what I do. One day, one job site, one custody exchange at a time. Moving forward.